leadership development and workshop trainings for folks around the state and sometimes out of state. It's my colleague Kate McGuinness.
Hi.
Hi. And we're here at the invitation in partnership with Vermont Tech College, their continuing education workforce development group, a lady named Diane Percy, who you may or may not know. And we've been asked to do a training today around differences, appreciating differences. I believe it's a request from your HR department, and that's about all. And if I had to guess, I would say it's something that's coming up often in workplaces in Vermont. In the last couple of years in particular, it's becoming a really, that idea of being more sensitive to who we are working with and to the cultural diversity and just how we treat people generally is coming up as a topic often. So I think this is just an introductory workshop. We're taking a minute to think about those kinds of issues and getting you to participate in a conversation about it. I am being videotaped. You are not being videotaped. I am apparently being videotaped. The HR folks have asked that they get a videotape for their own library so that they know that the training was delivered, they understand the content, and they can give me feedback themselves about whether it was any good or not, frankly. So, I did notice when I drove in that you've changed the sign, that you're now part of the UVM network. So good luck with that. I don't know quite what that means for you over the next couple of years. I understand it from the other end. My fiance works at what used to be Fletcher Allen, so she's in the throes of all that change and all that it means. But yeah, good luck. Hope that goes really well and is a good positive thing for you all. So if you're in the wrong room and you were expecting to do something around nursing, this is not the place, because I got nothing. Before we begin, I put this together because originally I heard the groups were going to be enormous in a very small room, so I'm delighted to see it's not so many and we've got some space. Yeah, I feel good about that.
I think they made a mistake.
Just as a safety thing, was in manufacturing, certainly I wouldn't want to get my arm cut off by stepping and tripping into a machine. Here I figure you know more about safety than I do, but I just think about, make sure there's not a bag near you when you get up or something that you could trip over. And then the second thing, which I think you all did, is making sure you sign up so that you get credit for being here today. Then I want to just launch right in about something I call our operating agreements. What do we agree to do during this hour that we have together? Here are the things, there's quite a few, here are the things that I thought about. Hopefully we agree to be in the moment. I recognize that you've come from a very busy, people-oriented workplace, and this is an hour in your day. So just try to let that go, enjoy this breathing space, and just sort of allow the content, the discussion to flow, because we've been given the time to do that. Ooh, they came up quickly. Respecting other opinions and differences. It's largely what today's hour is about, but just as a way of behaving, certainly appreciate that. Cell phones off. Some of you, I realize, may be on call or have pages or may have to be excused. That's okay. Obviously, do your job. I would hate for somebody to not get treatment because I said, no, you're staying here. Take care of what you're responsible for. You're adults. You know what's important. I hope you can do the hour without being interrupted. We agree to stay on time, stop on time. We've been given an hour. Won't take any more of your time. Challenge yourself and others to learn something new. Remain open to trying new approaches. Share what you know. Again, we're adults, so the combined wisdom in the room is always better than one person. I'm prompting something and ways, some things to think about. But your participation is what will make this a good hour experience. Share what you know. What is said in training stays in training. I keep seeing this ad on TV that if I go to Vegas, it doesn't matter what I do, nobody will ever know. It stays in Vegas. So the phrase there, usually what that means is whatever happens here is confidential. Right? And we agree to keep it confidential. I put an asterisk because in a training, if something good comes out of this conversation, makes you think differently, or somebody says something in conversation makes you go, God, that really resonates with me. That's really something that makes sense to me. Take that out of the training and use it. Talk over your lunchtime with people about it. Make sense? Great. We don't have long, but I like to at least take a moment and be mindful. So the idea is you're coming from this hectic place, you did whatever you did this morning with your families or whomever it is in your life before you get to work, you get hit with whatever's hit you at work, and then you come to this space. So just take a breath, and take another breath, and be grateful we're in a quiet space for a little bit of time. The agenda is fairly full, but it moves fairly quickly. I don't expect to be able to see that, but I'd like to say we've already done the first thing, so well done. Key principle. I've got two key things I want to introduce today. Spend a little bit of time on each and an exercise with each, and then we'll just wrap up at the end. So this first thing I want to introduce is this idea of appreciating differences. I'm going to invite you to start participating. What does appreciating differences mean to you? What does that phrase mean?
Accept someone else's opinion, beliefs, faiths.
Excellent. Yeah.
Being interested in them.
Yeah. Thank you. I agree. That word appreciating, what does that mean? Valuing it. It's a great word. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so there are differences, and we can choose to appreciate them, or we can choose to be not appreciative of them. So we have those choice points. When I thought about this, answering these questions, I thought, yeah, we can learn from other people, always. If I appreciate difference, I'm expanding my perspective, stopping seeing the world in that moment just the way I've always seen it, or the way I was brought up, which in each of our cases is going to be different than what it is. And just opening up and realizing that people see the world differently. We can sit in this room for the next hour and go away having completely different feelings about what just happened. It's always the case. So being open to the idea that there's some good can come of appreciating differences. Here's my second question. What are the benefits of it?
Can I learn something?
Yeah. You might. That'd be good.
Can you learn more about the people that you work with,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing.
what they know?
Yeah, I agree. I think the more we personalize people, the easier relationships are. And the more we value people, I think, when you get to know someone. If I come in with a very different approach, if I'd shouted, "Where have you been?" Start 10 minutes. Your opinion on me wouldn't have been so great. Hopefully over the course of the hour, you'd have a different opinion of me the more that we share space and conversation. I like that. So when I thought about it, just a few points, increasing my range of relationships. Instead of it just being, oh, there's Jill, I see her every morning doing her rounds, and I pass her and I'll say, "Good morning, Jill," and that's the extent of it. I know a little bit more about her. I know that she's got a kid who has some health issue, and that's always on her mind when she comes to work. And some days her kid's not doing so well, and maybe that explains some of the behaviors that are going on. Building bridges to others, and it feels good. I like to think about if we put out good energy and we're open, then those good feelings spiral up. And if we are not in that great space and we don't really appreciate differences, we can spiral down and really not feel so good. So I'm going to invite you to an exercise about noticing differences. So in the spirit of being open-minded, in the spirit of appreciating differences, what I'm going to ask you to do is each time I click a photo up, really pay attention to your first thoughts. And they can be emotional reactions, they can be words that describe what you're seeing. Just hang on to those and I'll ask you to share. So first one, this is not a test, by the way, it's just a conversation. So first image, what are no right, wrong answer. What are the first things you thought? First thing came to mind.
Gold.
Is it cold?
Yeah.
Yeah? What makes you say that?
A jacket, hat.
Right?
Deep in thought.
He's deep in thought. Because, what makes you think that?
Just the look on his face, his eyes.
Uh-huh. Reading his facial expression.
Looks
Good.
like homeless.
He looks homeless? Yeah? Because, what does a homeless person look like? Does every homeless person look like this, or what was it about him?
She just looks worn out, haggard, seen better days.
Down the street.
Yeah. To me.
Wondering where his next meal might be coming
Yeah,
from.
right?
So let me ask, because this is fabulous, thank you all. We start with a homeless comment and then it sort of came to, I wonder where his next meal. Did that thought influence you, or was it something about
No, I
it was already
thought
in your head?
I thought of like the homeless thing too, and
Yeah.
and
So did I.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was part of mine too, but just the fact that he was cold, you know,
That's the
and
first.
the way he's dressed.
Yes.
and even if he can get, if he can find work even.
So a lot going on. Just from that first boom, that first moment. That's really very human, right? We all do it. Anybody got a different thought than those that have been expressed?
We're all thinking that he's probably a millionaire.
Could be. Could be. So I'm going to give you the descriptor. When I pulled these images down to use for today, they each come with a descriptor so that you can use them out of a bank of photographs. And this one said, homeless man, down on his luck, something like that. So that's incredible. They nailed it, apparently. There's something about that that made you think. He may be an actor. He may be something else. In the first group, somebody suggested a miner, because they were looking at, he looks like he's in a field of work that's dirty, gets his hands dirty, whatever. Interesting. Try the next one. First thoughts.
Sad.
She's sad, you're sad.
I bet both. I am. That would make me sad to see that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because?
She's young.
Ah.
She's got a long road ahead of her, probably, being that she's so young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's probably scared too, not knowing what she has to do, like if she's gonna do physical therapy and how long and all that stuff. And like she says, being so young.
Yeah. So something about her age that provokes a feeling. Something about your work, and you realise the road to recovery from a serious accident or whatever's happened to this person. Bringing some really interesting perspective. Anything else?
Victim.
Victim. In what way? Victim of car accident. So wondering what happened. Do you see things in your work that make you go there, or is that just no? Yeah, wanting to know what happened. Anything in you wanting to fix this? Anything in you wanting to help her? Is that what it pulls at? I think the descriptor is young girl on crutches with neck brace. It's a fairly neutral description. Nothing to do with the feelings, so you brought those, and I'm glad. And I have to say, given the work you do, that does not surprise me that you have feelings about people. I mean, that's a big part of what you bring to work. How about this one? Happy.
Happy. Yeah.
Yeah? Any disagreement with happy? Any advance on happy? Maybe more than just happy.
Excited. When
Yeah?
something happened.
Their closeness too.
Maybe there's a celebration.
Because she's, her brother arms up
So what does that say, perhaps, to you?
relationship. I don't know.
Could be.
Or like she hasn't seen her in a long time.
Ah. Yeah, something about how close they are. That's a positive, happy thing between the two of them. Yep, I think the label with it was young lesbian couple happy. So, sexuality aside, the rest of it, absolutely, you can see that in the image, right? There's a relationship there. Does it make a difference if they were a lesbian couple or not?
Exactly.
What's that?
She said as long as they love each other and
Care for each other.
Yeah,
it doesn't
That's all that
matter.
matters.
yeah.
It's not what other people should matter, it's what you feel.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Sexuality is one of those issues that's a protected class, right? We can't discriminate based on it. Beyond that, what I heard you say was a very people thing, right? So what? If those people treat me badly, maybe that
They
matters.
could be, they're just just like us. There's a lot of them that are very nice and kind.
Sure.
You know, they're humans, just like the rest of us, it's a little different. but
Yeah.
That's their life and their business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my feeling is as long as they don't try to make moves on me, that's, you know.
That should be, I said, almost and going any direction.
I was thinking the
Yeah.
same thing.
Exactly.
No, that's good. It's an interesting when I was putting this together. Just that idea that there are descriptions that somebody would have to use in a photo bank made me think, I wonder what I'd say. I wonder what I would say if I just had to describe that picture. How about this one?
You got a raise.
Good news. Graduated.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Good news.
A promotion.
Aha, he's got good news, got promotion, something's happened that's got him excited.
Excited, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that you might? No? It's interesting. It's a fairly common experience, right? The first person down on his luck, something not going well for this guy. Sad about this is all good, this guy's excited. Common experience. It's good. I think we're very human. We could describe these people in lots of ways. And sometimes what comes up is really positive, first thought. Sometimes what comes up is, I wonder what happened there. Aww.
She cherishes the simple things in life,
Yeah.
I would say.
But I got flowers.
Yeah.
She knows somebody cares.
Positive stuff. Ah, somebody cares. Either somebody gave her flowers.
Yeah. And then she knows that she's loved by that gesture or something.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Or she could be saying, hey, look what I grew.
Yeah.
Well, they take just as much pride in that too.
And
Yeah.
they do.
They do.
Yeah. Just in that moment. It's amazing. So the header for this is CEO congratulates company on growth. Does that surprise you? It should surprise you because you made that up, but it actually said was
I'm trying to think of who's getting the.
happy
Who's the
old
CEO?
lady with flowers was the descriptor. And what the reason I threw that one up there, it made me think, so
It's like, she's a CEO?
I thought he was still
She
talking
might
about
be.
the guy up above. Was like,
She could be a CEO.
it doesn't say
It
she's
doesn't
not.
say how old they have to
That's
be.
right.
You know,
That's
if you own your
right.
own company, you could be the CEO of it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's what it made me think of. Like, and is it okay? I mean, I was looking for images, so in the descriptors it makes sense to help you find images that you want. That's why this back exists. So it makes sense that it says old woman, because there are two descriptors that I can say, yeah, I need a picture of an older lady. So that'll help me find it.
They shouldn't use old though. They should use elderly.
Ah. And in your work, if any of these people come in the door, does it matter whether he's homeless? Do you have restrictions on that?
No.
Does it matter that she's old? Do you treat them any differently? Just curious. Do you go, aww, when somebody comes in looking
We
like
do a
that?
lot of those ahs.
Yeah, we do.
There's a lot of ahs around here.
So I'm this guy, and I come in, I'm waiting behind this lady, and you all go, ah. And then somebody goes, yeah, next.
Aren't you adorable?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I'd like the ah. Keep going. First thoughts.
Oh, whoops. Wasn't looking.
Oops. This one just popped up.
Waiting.
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 Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Trying to decide if that's a smile on his face or not.
Ah.
Could be
Kind of
that.
looks like a.
Trying to read his face.
Yeah.
I'm doing a.
It's a password.
I have an idea.
Oh, well, that.
That's
I have an
passport.
idea or something that I want to,
That's what he's thinking.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's
He's got an
like I
idea?
got something I want to say, I just.
Fabulous. What I love about your comments, all of you, is that they're not physical. at all. Right? You're going straight to a place of being human. What's going on with this guy?
That's
What's
bored.
his story?
He's bored.
He's bored.
I think so.
Does
Yeah.
that make a difference in your work or in your, like if somebody comes in looking bored, does it make a difference?
Well, I think you try to, talk to them
Come with me, I got work you can do.
and make their
You won't be bored.
try to make their day. I mean,
Yeah.
hi, how are you today?
He may be feeling awkward because his hands are in his pocket.
Right. Right. Might be. Might be. And again, the description is
How he's feeling and not how he
fat man in
sucks.
blue shirt.
Yeah.
That's the description?
Yeah, in the bank.
Not
all.
heavy.
Thank you. Right?
This bank needs some
So-
vocabulary.
You think?
Well, so far we figured it out, yeah. It said old lady, it said elderly lady.
But I love the way you're going like into what's going on, or this is a person. You're essentially going right to there's a person. That's the first thing I see. Hesitant, thoughtful, got a question, all that stuff. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Love that. Love your responses. And so that's why you're in the field you're in, right? Because you see people when they come in, and you're interested. Love that. First thoughts.
Taliban. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrorist? Wait, what?
Because of them.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's gonna kill Granny.
But the flowers are for him. He works for her.
Okay, he's a sheik and he's at the oil company and he did give Granny flowers. There you go.
First thought.
They're in together.
Happy, happy, happy.
I know it.
Anyone have a happy thought when this image came? First thought.
I just think religion.
Religion.
Yeah, I think house
But I don't think I just think there's a real,
Yeah. So it's a little different than the other reactions, and I really appreciate. I mean, obviously, this is you don't know me, and you're in a group, and you don't know quite what was going to happen today. So I appreciate you sharing. There's something different that happened.
It might
As a
have
group.
been different if he didn't have the,
Mask on his
yeah,
face.
his, like you said, his religion, obviously. If he was here and wasn't wearing that,
It's not the religion, it's the getup.
Right,
You
exactly.
can't see
It's what I'm
past the
saying.
getup.
Yeah.
You see so much of it on the news and they're
That's the first thing that comes to your
terrorists
mind when you
that
see
are like
it, right.
covered up like that. That's,
I look like that in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I love what you just said. We see images all the time of people who have that kind of clothing. And they're not positive
it's always on the
images.
news and a lot of it is all bad things.
Yeah,
you
Sure.
so that's the first thing you
Sure.
think.
Yeah.
If this person walked into Woodridge, how would you behave?
Leery.
Leery.
Yeah.
That is
Maybe.
fascinating.
Yeah.
The lady in the group before you had
Leery.
the same word, exactly the same word.
I just ask them if they need any help.
So,
Well, I would be polite and stuff. I would just be polite and
And
stuff.
leery.
From a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can see where she's coming from. Why would you be any leerier of him than of the homeless man?
Right.
the man who may not be homeless, right?
Right.
Homeless may not help.
I think
Right.
it's more
I'd be
foreign
leery
to
of,
us.
yes.
To see somebody in that getup is more foreign to us than
Yeah.
a
This is
homeless.
just conditioned responses.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's all it's experiencing right now. It's just
Absolutely.
conditioned responses. And you can't
Just-
control that. That's human
Right.
nature.
Absolutely. You want to come up?
You're
That's
teaching it
excellent.
now.
No, I meant to run this, because your comment was right on.
So let me just.
Seriously.
No, but she's.
There's nothing wrong with that human reaction, right?
Yeah.
We behave
Because
that.
that's what we've been taught through the TV and everything.
There's a
know?
there's a common experience. There's a common experience in lots of ways. There's a common experience as people who live in this area. There's a common experience because you work in the same place. So there's a culture here that takes place. We have a common experience with what we see on the news without living in America. I was going to say being American, I'm not American, but living in America. There's something about that. We all see the same things. Regardless of our opinions, we're going to have that initial response. This one happened to evoke something negative. What do you do with that? I heard a couple of people say, I ask how I can help. Just, this is the next person in line. How can I help you today? Do you behave differently when you've got that initial pull?
I guess truthfully, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, I would have to say the same thing. Not with this situation, but I work at Cumberland Farms part-time. And the other night, another convenience store had been robbed
Uh-huh.
by two gentlemen that weren't Caucasian and had bandanas around their face. Well, about an hour and a half later, I was making the coffee. I looked to the door, and a gentleman was coming in with a bandana because it was cold over his face. And the first reaction to me was, you know, I mean, my heart just sunk. It's like, oh my God. But he came in, pulled the bandana down, and did what he had to do. But it's just, you know,
That's very
the initial quick feeling that it was
Sure.
like,
Sure.
exactly. I mean,
But
it just,
you're aware of that, and I think, you know, subconsciously, you probably had a huge conversation that lasted about a second
Yes.
in yourself that said, okay,
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Well, I had been there when the store was robbed a few months ago.
sure, so you were nervous.
So, right,
So
so
you've
that
got
was the
this
first
screen.
thing, I just like, my heart just went from here
How
to my
long did it
feet.
take
and
you?
Oh, as soon as he came through the door, he pulled it down and walked by me. I said, hi, how are you?
And it was all fine.
And I was fine. But it was
Love
just the
that.
initial seeing, as like, not again, because I'd already been through it once before, so.
That is really visceral for you. And it may well be that, you know, I was in the Army or the National Guard, and I was in a place where I didn't know people, and it all looked very different to what I was used to. And there's all that potential danger. That instinct is quite normal, right? Very human. Whatever the images we pull, whatever our experience comes in that moment. Love what you said. There's a conversation that happens, and what makes a difference is how you filter that and then behave the way you do with everybody else. That's you being authentic. That's you being in the roles you are.
In New York City, there's a lot of diversity. Do you think we'd get some reaction?
I wonder
I'm sure
that.
we'd see that a lot.
Because you're more used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not, because chances are you pull in some positive associations with people who look a little different, instead of just having the images on the screen. That whole idea of appreciating differences, that first point, when you get to know somebody, strips away all these stereotypes and all the images on TV, and you start to see a person come through. So, sure, fat man with his hand in his pockets. 10 minutes in, this is Bill. Bill's mum does this, he works out, suddenly he's a person, and you've got a much richer connection. And all those initial sort of responses go away. Turns out she's just killed someone in a car accident. She ran somebody down. She's a nice old lady. She's got flowers. And then I learned that. Does that change my behavior? It changes the way I feel, but it doesn't change how I go about my work, right? That's I think, the main point of this. Love your dialogue. It is okay to have that instant reaction. It is not okay to act on it. And so when we filter it, we say, ooh, what just happened for me? Recognizing it, I love that, you're aware of it. That's the
Well,
first
I
thing that
notice,
has to happen.
especially in Vermont, like if you're walking anywhere and you see, you know, a black person, I mean, it stands out.
Yeah,
And I hate that.
yeah,
So I'm like, you know, you walk through the mall and you see a black family, and you're like, black family in your brain, you know, and you're like, well, why do you even notice that?
Sure.
Because we live in such a white state, obviously that's why
Yes.
you notice it, but
yes,
you can't help that.
No,
That's
it's
right.
like my daughter went to college at Hartford, Connecticut. You know, she came back and explained to me, you know, you don't call them this, you don't call them that. You
Sure.
know, they like to be called this and not that, and there's, you know, the diversity is just so different. You bring up New York City. My son moved from here into New York City. He's living there now, and it's totally different than it is here.
sure. Great dialogue. Yikes, what about this group?
Does that say cope?
Yes. First thoughts.
Family.
Family,
I thought co-workers.
co-workers. Two of them are in the room.
You.
Yes.
And you're on the left.
I didn't hear. Beautiful, very professional looking, quite competent. What's wrong with
Hey,
you
we
people?
know them. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Isn't that him?
Now that guy on the left is not from Vermont, and he's very long-winded.
There you go. I've been called worse. We'll be again.
No, I'm just kidding.
This one.
Oh,
Oh.
painful.
Painful for you, painful
No,
for her.
for her, yeah.
The tattooing was painful.
I
just don't get it.
She's
I'm with
expressing,
you. Yeah.
expressing her, self with art or something.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what to say if I saw that, honestly.
I
Wouldn't you
don't-
say the same thing? Hi, how can I help you today?
Yeah.
But meeting on the street, say, just
Ah.
to come across.
First
that.
I would say, wow, and then I would say, how can I
Right,
help
this
you?
is that word.
But I had to get the wow
Oh,
out
wow,
I
first.
always wonder if
Yeah.
they want you to look or if they want you to look away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Because I always
I'd
look,
say wow.
because obviously it's interesting to
Yeah.
look at.
It is interesting. Description is beautiful young tattooed woman. Interesting. Again,
Oh yeah, if you took all the ink off her, I would think she would look beautiful, but I don't think that's my opinion, I don't, you know.
so noticing the difference, I think we notice the difference. Appreciating the difference. Don't have to like it.
Yeah.
That's what I
Perhaps.
tell my son, when he sees tattooed people,
Uh,
when he has them,
yeah,
you don't have to like it.
Yep. yeah. Last one.
I can do it.
She's telling
See,
her
I told
parents.
you.
She's sticking her tongue out at the grandma. I don't want those
That is
people
coincidental, I think.
Yeah.
So wait, I didn't hear homeless or terrorist or physical therapy needed or any of that.
No,
Nope. Just on that first look. Really
my first
interesting.
look was, yeah, I did it. I told you I could.
I think she's cute.
She's
Yeah, I was
down.
just gonna
It's
say
that
she's
na
cute.
na 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 look.
Looks like she has downs.
Down to the dip.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't pick that up.
All those descriptors come in. No, I think
Have
all your
friends
comments
and
have been
family.
people first, except for that one, right? Where it was, no,
Oh,
really.
yeah?
It's just interesting how common that experience was. Like almost everybody in the room went, ooh. All the rest
Well,
have something
I was
positive.
kind of looking at the picture, looking at you going, that's him, isn't it? That
That's
was my
funny.
thought.
That's funny.
I'm like, that's him, isn't it?
So great sharing, thank you. And what I want you to take away from this is that reaction when you saw the young man with the headscarf. Because that's the test case for you. In your work, that image provoked something that wasn't a great reaction, which is okay. What do you do with that? So if you can, after this workshop, think back to how you responded, take that away, and what can I do to make sure that I don't pass on that initial response, which honestly had absolutely nothing to do with this person. Right? It was all about images I've seen on TV, negative associations, had nothing to do with this person as an individual. That's where the work lies for all of us. How can appreciating differences make for a more fulfilling workplace? Don't spend much time on this, just think about it. Like, isn't it better? Don't some good things come of coming to work in a place where people have come from lots of different experiences that morning, lots of
Different
different
foods.
families.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like somebody rides a bike in, somebody takes a bus, somebody carpools, somebody had to get 15 children ready for school and still get here for 6 o'clock. Like, what a lot of different experiences. It's a good thing. And I think you already are hitting on this, how our assumptions affect the workplace. Not just that interaction with a patient or with somebody who you don't know. Somebody comes in who you do know and is behaving differently, and you assume something about what's going on for them. The idea of putting down the assumption and just being a caring person, being you, makes this a good place to work. And so there's positive assumptions. I'm going to switch gears. The GPTW stands for Great Places to Work. So the idea I'm introducing here is we have those reactions, we have our behaviors, and there's a way of thinking about them in terms of a structure or some expectations or some standards. So there's a national organization called Great Places to Work, and as a company or an organization you can choose to be evaluated as a great place to work, and they give awards out. It's based on feedback from employees. And it looks at how credible is the leadership in this organization? How authentic, how honest are they? Is this a respectful workplace based on the feedback of the employees? And they'll grade you and they'll rate you based on your feedback. It's anonymous feedback. But it's the idea that there are standards out there. at Woodridge, my understanding is you use this 4 C's, behaviors and expectations. Is that familiar to you? Yes? No? No? Well, so this is embedded in your performance appraisals. It's a language that's in your performance appraisals. That's what I've been exposed to. I've seen the documents. So that's where this comes from. So interesting that several of you don't know it. Might be worth asking a question. Hey, can I have a look at this? Understand it better?
Whoops.
For today, for today, I thought we'd take a look at just one of those C's, the courteous one, and unpack it a little bit. I have, quickly get these out. This is the rubric, the language that comes from Woodridge around your 4 C's, and I pulled out the ones that relate to courteous. And the columns here, so under courteous, you have the group idea, so interpersonal skills is the topic. You have a definition, acts in a professional, respectful manner with all CVMC staff, patients and families. You have sentences in that 3rd column that says, if you are meeting the expectation or the standard, this is what it looks like. And if you're going above and beyond and exceeding the expectation, this is what it looks like. So it's good, you've got a rubric, you've got a framework for it, but what does that mean? So I just want to do an exercise in bringing that to life. So I'm going to have us all make the assumption that we knew these 4 C's existed. We are living and breathing them as part of our culture, because that's what we're doing. And we're going to think about what does that mean as a standard. So a definition of a standard, a level of quality achievement that is considered acceptable or desirable. A standard is a group of ideas about a morally correct and acceptable behavior. And it's something that's good and that is used to make judgments about the quality of other things. So essentially you're taking this idea and saying when we behave like this, that's what we want. That's a standard and expectation for us. When we do this, we're doing even better. We're role modeling for other people. When we do this, we're not pulling our weight and helping this culture be a positive. So that's the idea. So I think about standards being on this continuum, and instead of being perfect, I don't expect myself to be perfect. My kids never expect me to be perfect, and they are never disappointed. This idea that we start down here with something maybe, we're working towards a standard, we're not there yet, or we're meeting the standard, or we're doing something that really exceeds. And in this culture, in Woodridge, we've got these markers in print that say this is what it means to meet our expectations. If we're doing that, then we are contributing to a positive organization. We're doing our job well. If we exceed the standard, we're doing better. Right? We're making this a better place to work, not just keeping it where it is. And the idea is that we're all looking for continuous improvement. So, if you would flip that large piece of paper over, I think we already have it. No, you're good. The arrow should be face up. I'm going to give you some situations and some sticky notes. And what I want you to do is get sticky notes on. And just at your table, have a quick read of that first situation, that first statement. And I'm going to ask you to take the yellow sticker with the number 1 on it and stick it on the arrow where you think it belongs. Yeah, take the sticky with number 1 and put it somewhere on that arrow where you think that behavior sits. So it looks like, whoop. So when you've stopped at number 1, you're reading ahead. So what I see is everybody thought number 1 is exceeding the standard. Is that correct? That it's a good thing to do, to post a negative comment? No?
No.
No. Not a good thing.
Ours is all the way down here at the very point of
Oop, you have it way down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Not even working towards
That
it.
doesn't do
Didn't belong on the paper.
Yeah, exactly. We went down as far as we could without knocking.
So Facebook's a minefield, right? You put something out there
Yeah,
and
you don't.
everybody knows it. So if you do something like this, that's absolutely a no-no. Great. Try the second
Go
one.
for it.
Try the second one.
Or is the second one? Well, no, we have to put 2.
Got some agreement? You're exceeding the standard?
No.
Yeah?
Not on this one.
So the first part of this, if I could stop it at the period.
It doesn't mean it's wrong. So like maybe add it, make a pile on the ones that are all.
Hang on, don't get too far ahead.
Oh wait, we're on 3.
No.
Oh,
No, you're not. You're still on 2. Officially, you're still on 2.
Back
If I stopped at this period, you volunteer to staff a local baseball game as a representative of Woodridge. If it were just that, are you exceeding the standard, or would that move your sticker?
that exceeding.
Still exceeding.
Yeah, just the first sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then not only do you do that, but you publicly thank the people that you work with.
That's
Definitely.
Doesn't change it?
exceeding.
Try number 3. Oh. Ooh. This is Facebook bad, by the look of this. You include an inside joke in a presentation to a team of colleagues, knowing that only a few of your co-workers would understand it as being funny.
Is
Why?
that on the
Down
chart?
at the bottom,
Why is that bad?
because it was.
You're excluding coworkers for one. You could be putting other people down for 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone agrees?
It's no place.
Just me.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable, really negative thoughts. So in your thinking, you are exceeding the standard right now, right? You are saying, hey, I
You're
don't want this in my
You've definitely
workplace.
exceeded it and some.
I don't want this. I love that. Has anyone, don't raise your hands or respond to this, have any of us ever made a joke that didn't go down?
Oh yeah.
The question is, what do you do afterwards? Can you take it back? No. What can I do? Moment's gone. What can I do?
Sorry, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Apologize.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ask
love
what
that.
was offended.
And then do I do it again next week?
I'm sorry if anybody
No.
was offended. Yeah. Like you
Lesson
said.
learned.
Fabulous, right? That's what life's about. If I did this with a middle school group, this would be a really different conversation.
Oh yeah.
So our level of maturity as human beings is a great thing. Try number 4.
Thanking a coworker.
We're getting there. We're up here. We're down here. We're not exceeding very far. Our rainbow's not going very high. We went up once.
So you all have it at the bottom, not really meeting the standard. We do the same thing as last time. You thank a coworker for her suggestion to you about the way you're handling a difficult patient situation. Stop there. What's that? Yeah? Yeah. So you do a good thing. And then
we can split it up.
oh, does anyone ever do that? Do a good thing over here, then you walk away and somebody says, oh, what do you think about that? Oh, yeah, it's rubbish. Maybe,
Not good.
maybe not on that level, maybe something like it. So that idea about the standard can be met and then you can just undo the good work. Just be mindful of that. Again, you all put it in a place where you don't want that in your workplace, which is great. Try number 5. Wow, lots of agreement. This is not a good thing?
Discrimination.
Oh, yeah. So, the lady with the flowers we're talking about, we all go, ah. No?
She
Yeah.
can't take that test.
No?
No, says she can't.
Ah.
She's way over 60.
She can't because I said she can't, and that's discriminating.
You don't know that she's over 60. She might just have white hair.
So the idea of me putting this one in, thank you. The idea of putting this in was,
20s, that's right.
the idea of this is maybe sometimes we overuse a skill, right? There's something about, in this case, the idea may be somebody over 60, you make an assumption, this person didn't grow up with computers, this person's going to struggle with this, why would I put this person through that test?
You wouldn't, you would get somebody to sit and help them,
That's possible, right? You could accommodate it.
yes.
Are you making the assumption, or what happens between seeing this person come in and them getting the accommodation? What needs to happen for that to make sense?
Find
Well,
out
that-
if there's
Yeah, that person would have to say, you know, I am not computer savvy, I need somebody to help me,
Right.
you know?
So the big difference there is just because this person is old, female, overweight, underweight,
Didn't say she
black,
was old.
whatever.
Just
Whatever it
said,
is.
there's a lot of young people who don't know
Correct.
computers.
Right, so
Correct.
So the company should say, if you need help as a
whole,
Correct.
yeah.
So in your work, when I thought about this one, this is like an easier example. We have those feelings of sympathy. You, in your work, right? You want to care for people. You want to help people get better, improve whatever it is that you're doing on a daily basis. We can overuse that and we can make an assumption that this person's going to have a hard time with this. I want to make that easy. That's not an appropriate assumption. So I love it. If somebody says, hey, I need help here, that's a very different conversation. You're not making those assumptions. You're responding to information, which is a big difference. Last one.
It doesn't tell you why they're having it. Does that? It doesn't
That's
specifically
correct.
say that they're having a problem with them because they're from China.
That is correct. It is designed that way so you don't have enough information. So where'd you post your sticky?
Nowhere yet.
You
It
didn't-
meets standards.
You need more information.
Yeah.
You decided it meets the standard.
I think it's working towards it because you don't want to, in this situation, especially as an LNA, if
Well-
things aren't going right.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let's have a one conversation.
I was just saying, like, if you're, as an LNA, you know, if things aren't going right between you and a patient, it's better to step away from that and, you know, recognize that you're not maybe the right person for the job at
Right.
that moment.
Right.
Many reasons.
So if we removed the who was originally from China, you're having a difficulty working with a patient and you ask your supervisor for a different assignment. Anything wrong with that?
I think it'd still be the same.
It'd
Same
still
feeling
be
for
the
me,
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it would all depend on what kind of difficulty you're having.
Agreed.
It's all, that's what it's about, is.
Right. Right. So this one was
is that
designed
it's
to
bad
not be as
ask
easy.
or to tell.
Ah.
You are supposed to ask for help or input or,
What should I do?
right, you go to
Fabulous.
your nurse or your
Fabulous.
team or.
So let me
There's
reword this in a
someone
few
else
different
saying,
ways.
Look, I have this problem, you have this problem too, or
That's great.
it's, so it's bad if you're not helping yourself or helping that person.
So let me reword this. Thank you. Really appreciate your conversation. You're having difficulty understanding this patient. And you go to your supervisor. Anything wrong with that?
No,
No,
You see somebody's from China and you want nothing to do with this person.
then there's something wrong with
Then
it.
there's something wrong. You have difficulty working with this patient regardless of where he or she is from. And you go to your supervisor and say, I'm having difficulty working with this. Can you give me some ideas? Anything wrong with that?
no.
No. Great stuff. Great stuff. A young man walks in with a headscarf on and you say, hey, I'm having difficulty working with this person. Anything wrong with that?
Yep.
That's the only thing going on. There's something really wrong with that. Right? If there's those other things in place, doesn't matter what they look like, if you can't understand them, that's one thing. If they have an adverse reaction to you, get that woman away from me.
Yeah.
As a patient, that may be, hey, I'm not sure this is a good match. Good work. Good dialogue. I don't know how each of you behaves at work. What you said in the room makes a lot of sense, right? You've been honest, you recognize it, you had very similar reactions in terms of what's okay in this workplace, in this culture. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something. All that stuff's good. We honestly accept that some things bring out instinct in us, whether it's good or bad, an image, something that we pull from that makes us go, ooh, or ooh. And what we do, that's really important. going to wrap this up and then ask you for some feedback too. So the two ideas for today: appreciating differences and the things we have in common. We have way more in common as human beings than we have differences. Right? No matter what we look like, feel like, sound like, way more in common. And the differences are what makes this a great place to be alive and to work. And there are expectations that are, now you know, written down in your 4 C's agreement. And it's a place you can go. And I appreciate you unpacking one of those, this idea of being courteous and mapping it somewhere for yourself. And just taking a minute to think about it. What you can do after you leave this is think more about this. The one thing I do want you to think about is your reaction to the young man with the headscarf. Because that's all he was. He was a young man with a headscarf. That's all we know. Because that's all we can see. And just when you are challenged in those moments, either by a coworker or by a patient or a supervisor, by bringing something that pulls at something that's real inside you, like, take that breath, cut off the thinking that, ooh, terrorist, ooh, you're going to bomb me, whatever else goes through your head. Cut that off, and you're going to have to coach it sometimes. They're not always as extreme as the reaction you got there. Some of it's very subtle. Some of those invisible disabilities around mental illness that you must come across that make you go, ooh, there's something about this person. I'm not sure what it is. Like, putting that aside and getting advice and feedback and working it through. Really appreciate your conversation today, knowing that you perhaps don't know why you're here. It's maybe a mandated training, you've got to go, you don't know what it is. I really appreciate you showing up and participating. Thank you. And I would love for you to give us some feedback on a form so that we can improve it and give us ideas for next time. I think we may even have pens. Oh, look at that.
I got 4 here.
Oh, there you go. One of those is probably mine.
No. There's a, got another thing.
I'm going to ask you for one more thing. Not only when you notice it in you, reaction, when you notice it in somebody else. Somebody else goes, don't like the look of him. Stepping out and being a role model and saying, hey, don't like the way you're responding to that person. What can we do differently? Just that sense of encouraging that standard to be raised among the people that you work with in a good way, in a positive way.